We have an amazing show coming up. We've got the author of the Tiffin.
Yes.
Any guesses as to what this little canister is?
No.
Looks like a paint can or
It does
something,
look like a
right?
paint can, yeah.
There are
Like
lunches
lead
in
paint.
there. No,
Oh.
that's a lunch delivery service.
Oh.
In India.
Very
Way
nice.
cool, right?
Very cool.
So this is a book about what happened when the one lost lunch, what happened to the one lunch that got lost. 6 million lunches delivered every day, one of them went missing. And then the fallout effect from that. It's fascinating. This is actually a kid's book. And I love that this writer has written books for kids between ages 9 to 12 that really lights them up. There was a study that kids aren't reading for the love of it as much anymore. And this is one of those books that's going to help turn that around because it's not written for kids in the sense that it's not dumbed down for them.
It sounds like it has a little bit of a heavy subject matter in there as well too. So like the Hunger Games.
Well, so many authors are writing for kids, but not all of them do it in the way that this author does. We've got the author of the Tiffin, Mahtab Narsimhan, here. I love this book because even though you've written it for the 9 to 12 age group, you haven't dumbed it down in any way. You're not writing down to them. You're not talking down to these kids. It's very intelligently written, and it deals with some heavy subjects, but in a way that the concepts are easy to grasp for them. But intellectually, it's quite high caliber stuff. Do you do that intentionally?
Absolutely. I really think that life should be portrayed to kids as it is. I mean, you don't want to give them all the gory details, but you do not want to sugarcoat it for them either. And that's what I've done in all my books. I've already written a trilogy. It's called the Tara Trilogy, which is fantasy adventure based in India. But even there, I did deal with some pretty serious concepts because I think kids are intelligent enough to understand it, and I think they should know that life is not always easy, and if they can deal with it through a book, I think it prepares them for real life.
I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. This is called the Tiffin. Explain what a Tiffin is. You've brought an example of one here. So what is this?
Well, this is actually a lunchbox which is used in India, and this is actually the authentic box that I flew to India in about March this year, and I picked it up.
That's the one on the cover of the book?
Yeah, and it's this is just the outer aluminum case, and then there is another inner little case where the food is stored.
Those are becoming popular here in Canada again.
Exactly. So this is a very unique service that's based in India. It's kind of a Meals on Wheels service, but the very unique thing about it is that, as you'd mentioned earlier, is they have an error rate of 1 in 6 million. So I mean, their accuracy is just amazing, and the best part is none of the stuff is computerized. It's all manual. You know, there is a code which is written on top of the box, and there's a picture of it in the book as well. It's all manual in terms of where the box is picked up from. It goes through at least 4 or 5 hands and teams of people, and then it's delivered without any error to the person who has the food, and then it makes the reverse journey back again. And 1 box in 6 million. And I just found that extremely fascinating because nowadays we need so many, you know, little gadgets and apps and iPhone to remember just the simple basic things. And this is this whole different service that runs without any computerization.
It's amazing. So, and who orders the lunches?
Well, anyone who wants a home cooked meal can subscribe to this service. The food is picked up. I mean, you know, you buy the box from the dabbawalas, which is what they're called. You know, they pick up the food from your home, your house, your wife or your mother or whatever, you know, would pack the meal. It gets delivered all the way to your office. You have the food and it goes right back. And the best thing is that this is eco-friendly. You know, you're reusing the same box again and again, so there's no wastage. And it's a brilliant service.
It is a brilliant service. We should all have one of those here in Canada.
Well, there is a Tiffin service in Canada, not like this, but it's called Tiffin Day. And if you just Google it, I actually did my book launch with her, and it's brilliant. And she does, you know, her entire concept is eco-friendly as well. So now there are 2 countries in the world that have the Tiffin service.
And you grew up in Mumbai, so this was very common, I guess, to see the delivery service every day? Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. And what made you decide to write your story around this unique thing?
Well, the thing is, I just finished the trilogy, which was this fantasy adventure thing, and I love fantasy. It's a genre that I really love writing in. But then somehow Bombay was calling back to me. I hadn't been back home for a while, and I started thinking of writing something that was based back in my, native country. And I thought of Bombay, and then I thought, okay, so what's unique about Bombay as opposed to Toronto? And I thought of the Tiffin service, and then somehow, you know, of course, a lot of books that you read influence what you want to write, and that's when I said, okay, I'm going to write about Tiffin. I want to explore the concept of what family really means. And during the story, Kunal, who's the protagonist, also explores what it means to really have a family. I mean, whether it's a blood tie or is it just someone who loves and respects you. And at the end of his journey, that is what he discovers. So the story is about that one box that's lost and finding love and family.
Love it. And, you know, I said there's a story that came out recently in the media that says kids aren't loving reading as much as they used to, which is heartbreaking. Here's a book that exposes them to other parts of the world, completely different concepts, and it will expand their minds, and yet they get into it and they love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. Much like Harry Potter, they loved to read it, and they're going to love to read this book. So
I hope so.
Where can we get it if we're thinking of maybe stuffing somebody's stocking with this book?
Anywhere, at any of the independent bookstores, Chapters, Indigo, Amazon, you name it, it's there.
Okay, I've got a nephew that this is destined for.
That's great.
Yeah, and congratulations, by the way, because the book has just been named by Quill and Choir for young people, one of the top 5.
That's right, in 2011, and it was such a huge surprise, but it's great because I would love for kids to read something like this, and, you know, as you said, just find out what life is, you know, on the other side of the world.
Now this, forgive me if this sounds like an uneducated question, but it seems to me in the books that we read and in the movies that we watch here in Canada, life in India can seem quite desperate and miserable. Is that really true?
There are 2 sides to it, and someone actually said that you have portrayed India and Bombay in a very nice way, because I have brought in this book, because I have really showcased the Dabbawalas and what they do and their unique service and everything, and I've actually elevated their position. So there is that desperation, there is that poverty, but there's also the hope and the good side of it. So I've actually tried to portray both, and I hope it's authentic.
And when you were growing up in Mumbai, were you learning English at the same time?
Well, I did study in a private school, in an English medium school, so, you know, that kind of came naturally. In fact, now I'm forgetting all my Hindi, so I think in English, so if I have to speak Hindi, I actually have to translate it into that. So it's kind of, you know, tough.
And are they loving your books in India?
Well, you know what, the Tara trilogy, the rights have just been sold in India, so I know that I've sent off a lot of books to friends and family, but I think it's for the first time it's going to be published in April by a company called Rupa in India, so hopefully there'll be a lot more people reading it. The Tiffin has still got to reach there because it just came out a couple of months ago, but so far it's been really, really good, so, you know, fingers crossed.
Fantastic. All right, grab the Tiffin if you've got a 9 to 12-year-old or, you know, before, give or take, in your family. Get the Tiffin. And for more info, mahtabnarsimhan.com. Thank you so much. When we come back, Shannon's in the kitchen with an expert baker from the Test Kitchen Incorporated. Yum, yum, yum.